Hi, this is Ethan Shaw, also known as Brother Shaw. I am a steel guitarist and band leader based out of Central Texas. I wanted to talk to you today about playing in minor keys and playing minor chords on the steel guitar. Now, this is something that you don't learn a lot in the beginning of when you're playing steel guitar, because a lot of what you're doing is playing in major keys. But when you can play minor keys, it opens up a whole new world for you. So I'm going to start by doing some real simple things, and then we're going to get more and more advanced as it goes along. So if you already know the basics of relative minor and where to find minor triads, you can skip to later in the video where we talk about using some different tunings. So just to talk about the basics, the main thing that you need to understand as far as the theory of all this goes is what's called a relative minor. Now, a relative minor is where you use the same notes that are in a major chord, but start them on the sixth of the key, and then it becomes a minor chord. So, for instance, if we're in the key of C, and I'm going to play this on a C6 next so you can see it, the major chord that's right there in the tuning of the C major is C, E, G. Well, if you start that, use those same notes, but you start on the A of the tuning, A, C, E. That's a minor chord. That's an A minor. So that can work in any key. The idea is you go from what was the root of the major chord and then make that the minor third of your minor chord, and you're going to use the sixth of the chord as the root. So now we're going to go to a real basic tuning. All it needs is the root, third, and fifth on the top. This is like a G major dobro tuning. So when you, I'm going to do the A6 neck since I have that on this steel guitar, but it's the same intervals on the top as what the G6 tuning is if you just have a little lap steel or a dobro. So we're going to start on the 4th fret. So in my A6 tuning, this is going to be the key of D, but if you're in G6, this is the key of C. So I'm going to play the 3rd and 2nd strings. That's a major chord. So I'm playing D major in this tuning, or it'd be C major if you're in G tuning. Now, when I go 1, 2, 3, 4, down, 4 frets down, and play the top 2 strings, that is the minor version of this. So remember, if you want to play the minor version of whatever chord you're in that root position, 1, 2, 3, 4 frets down. Now, a lot of you are probably already doing this because one of the first things you figure out when you're playing dobro or steel guitar is, well, so this is your 1 chord. What that is, that's your 2 minor. And so that's the minor version of this. Once again, it's just 4 frets away. So that's the basic beginning way to get a minor chord. Now you're only going to be able to get a 2-note chord without slanting the bar when you're doing this. Now, speaking of bar slants, yes, you can do all kinds of minor chords with bar slants, and that is something we will talk about later, or you can figure out on your own. We're going to just talk about what you can actually do under a straight bar today. So now we're going to move on. Our next tuning, we're going to use a 6th tuning. Now, the same principle applies to any sixth tuning. A6, C6. I'm going to show you in C6 first because I think it's real easy to talk about when you're in the key of C. So, when you're in a sixth tuning, I'm going to play the open tuning. So here's my root note. Major third, root, sixth, fifth, third, and root. Now when you go to a minor chord from there, you have the sixth minor already in the tuning. All you do is start it on your sixth note. So in C6, that's an A minor. So you can go from there. If you're in C6, you have A minor there, you have D minor here. The other way you can figure it out is in this tuning, you're going to go up 3 frets. So I'm going to play an E major chord here at the 4th fret on C6 tuning. Now if you want to play an E minor chord, all you do is go up 3 frets. This time you're going to start it from the 3rd string of what we're doing here, but it's whatever the 6th is in your tuning. So if you're in an A6 tuning, that's usually going to be your 4th string. Anyway, go up 3 frets from where the major is. There's your minor chord. So if you're in A6 tuning, here's your C major. And at this point, the root will be on your 3rd string. Go up 3 frets to your 6th fret, and you're going to start, your root is actually going to be on your 4th string now. Now we're going to get into the discussion of bigger chords than that. And so when you're playing in a minor key, so this isn't just talking about a minor chord that's in a song. This is when the actual key is in a minor key. Most songs that you play, especially if they're older swing songs or a lot of Latin jazz, a lot of all kinds of songs, the one chord is not going to be a 1/7 chord. And when you make a 6th tuning into a minor 7th, the 7th, which is built into the tuning, is a minor 7th. So that's your flat 7 right there. That's built into the tuning of A minor. Now what you want to hear normally is a minor 6th chord. The reason for that is this is classical music theory. When you get to the 5 chord, a 5 chord in traditional classical music is not going to typically be a 5 minor chord. And so if you're in the key of C, the minor 3rd of G, which is your 5 chord, would be B flat. Well, B flat, that is the 7th of your 1 minor chord if you're playing in that 6th tuning. I know this is getting kind of advanced. This part you don't have to think about so much because I'm going to show you how to get around all this. What we want to hear is a minor 6th, because in minor 6th tuning, the 6th of the minor chord becomes the major 3rd of the 5 chord. And that's what we want to hear, because then it resolves to the 1. That the major 3rd of the 5 chord, so if you're in C minor, the 5 chord is G7. The 3rd of G7 is B. that wants to resolve to a C. So we have to use the sixth chord, a minor sixth as the one chord, to have that all flow. Now, how do you get the 1 minor sixth chord when in the tuning it's 1 minor seventh? Well, the really easy way to do this is to change your tuning by 1/2 step. So it turns out that there's a really typical steel guitar tuning that is super easy for this. Now you could do this just by in C6. What you want to do is you change your fifth in the tuning of the major tuning by 1/2 step. You're going to flatten that by 1/2 step. Now all of a sudden, instead of an A minor seventh tuning, you have an A minor sixth. The way I like to do this is actually, if you take an A6 tuning and then you flatten the fifth in that tuning, then all of a sudden this is B11th tuning. There's different versions of B11, but this is what it is. So the reason it's called B11th, this is a B9th chord, and then there's this extra note up on the top, which is an 11th. Anyway, so if you have a 6-string lap steel, you can either take your C tuning, flatten the fifth of the G down to F sharp. That's going to make it into an A minor 6 tuning. Or you can make a B11 tuning. And especially if you have an 8-string steel guitar and you're playing in A6, this is the easiest way to do it. You just take your A6 tuning, tune your fifth, your E down to D sharp. So I'm going to show you how cool this is. We'll play in C minor in this. It's B11 tuning, but B11 tuning is also the same as F sharp minor 6 tuning, and that's why this works. So here's C major. Now we're going to go to C minor. So this is the same idea. We're just going 3 frets up. But now we have this whole full. And we can even get that flat 7 on the top. So when we play, I'm going to do a little scale that's just within 2 frets here. That's called melodic minor. It sounds more right to our heads to use that as the scale we're using as the scale over our 1 minor chord. You can also, what's great about this is, here's your 1 minor. You can play any of these strings. You can play any of the strings 2 frets above it, because that is a 5/9 chord. So it's the exact same notes. This is all about relative minors, what we were talking about before. So here's your 1 chord, 5 chord. So this makes it really easy to play minor songs. And you even have those same intervals from your 6 tuning up on the top. I hope this helps you navigate minor chords for steel guitar. If this has helped you out, please give me a thumbs up, and if you subscribe to my channel, you'll get to see more of this stuff and more steel guitar performance videos of me and my friends. I sure appreciate y'all watching, and keep at it, and the journey is worth it.